Live from Earth, it's Space Radio. I'm Paul Sutter, astrophysicist at Stony Brook University and the Flatiron Institute. And for the next half hour, your agent to the stars. We've got an amazing show today. We have such a fun guest, such a cool guy. He is waiting in the virtual wings, the virtual green room, where, yes, there is a variety of virtual cheeses for all of our guests to eat at their leisure as they wait to come live on the show. But first, I need to tell you that this show lives on listener questions. We record every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. However, we're not doing it for long. This is the second to last episode, the penultimate episode of Space Radio here at Spaceman Studios in New York City. So leave a voicemail to get yourself on the air. You can also follow along with our space cadets on the live streams on YouTube and Twitch, tuning in. I've got my notes here because I wrote it down. Ashburn, Virginia. How about that? We've got Minneapolis, Minnesota. We've got Idaho Falls, Idaho, Kosovo, Bristol, Indiana, Pell City, Alabama, Ireland, Ottawa, Canada, LA, California, Tucson, Arizona, Compton, California, Vipava, Slovenia, Seabus, Ohio, Washington, D.C., and Plainfield, Illinois. And of course, Austin, Texas, tuning in at the last second right before Columbia. All tuning in live and more from around the world. What an amazing group of crazy space cadets that we have going on. They all came for one thing, the cheese at the end. No. Does the Flatiron Institute study pancakes or well-pressed shirts? Funny. It's such a horrible name because the office is in the Flatiron District of Manhattan. It's a block away from the iconic Flatiron building. So it's called the Flatiron Institute because it's there. I don't know. I was not in charge of naming things. San Juan, Puerto Rico. Thanks for tuning in. I'm not in charge of naming things. I would have named it literally anything other than Flatiron Institute because it makes no sense. It's yeah, whatever. Anyway, my guest today, here we are, the great, the powerful, the wizardly Christian Reddy. Christian is an astronomer at Towson University, where he also serves as planetarium director. He has spent much of his life in awe of the universe, haven't we all? His first astronomy job at the age of 13 was at Sproul Observatory at Swarthmore College. He's a Swathy, where he first measured the positions of stars on hundreds of photographic plates. Were you looking for a planet? Were you looking for a ninth planet? Old school astronomy there?
It was very much old school astronomy, even back in the 1980s. It was old school even for that day. All we were doing, what we were doing was just measuring the distances to stars. We were doing a subfield of astronomy called astrometry. So we're trying to measure very precise, accurate positions of stars, and we're looking for things like their motion across the sky, called proper motion, and even to detect their parallax, which betrays their distance. So we were finding the distances to stars and even discovering a few along the way. Not a bad way for a 13-year-old to earn a living. And
not a bad gig. You know, I was a
bad
cashier at Meijer.
Well, I was working at KFC for a while there, and I decided to pursue a career in astrophysics. I decided that the fast food industry was not where I wanted to be.
Often people get that choice: fast food or high-end academia. It turns out fast food pays better. It has better benefits, but you learn a little bit less about the universe. Now, you also later moved on to taking observations with a 24-inch refractor and developing a love of public outreach, which shows. That's right. You earned your Bachelor of Science in Astronomy and Astrophysics from Villanova, and you're currently an instructor at the Launch Pad Astronomy workshop, where he helps teach writers, editors, filmmakers, and other creative professionals about astronomy. According to your bio, you view this as an opportunity to combine your love of astronomy, teaching, and science fiction into one. Now, here's the official welcome to the show. How's it going, Christian?
It's going great, Paul. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how honored I am to be your penultimate guest. I'm so sorry this is going away, but I'm just so glad I get to be a part of it. And Just looking forward to seeing you take your final bow next week.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You were supposed to come on in May, I think, and then I had to cancel because something came up and we couldn't do the episode that night. So I'm glad we were able to reschedule you in. Before we go, let's start talking about the news. Let's talk about Inspiration 4.
Yeah.
Do you think this mission, I've seen some divided opinions. Either it's super cool and interesting and there's a legitimate science happening and also St. Jude's got tons of money, or is it just another billionaire bozo going for a joyride in space? Where are you on that great debate of our times? Nothing about COVID vaccinations. It's all about billionaires in space.
Both can be true at the same time. You can have billionaires enjoying themselves in space, but you can also be raising awareness for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And I really don't have a problem with that. If billionaires are going to enjoy themselves in space, that's fine, as long as you're not doing harm. And I think it seems to me like they're doing some actual good here while they're at it. So they did raise a great deal of awareness. St. Jude's is such a wonderful organization for what they do. Nobody pays a dime. No family has to pay a dime to get their kids the medical care that they need. I think that's just an incredible mission. So yeah, anything that can be done to raise awareness for that, I am fine with it as long as it does no harm elsewhere. So sure, have a nice trip. And it sounds like that mission just went perfectly smoothly. And how amazing is it, by the way, that the era of space tourism is here, right? I mean,
you're right. It's here.
Yeah. I mean, okay. You and I, probably aren't going to go up anytime soon, but you know what? It's got to start somewhere. Airfares were extremely high. They were air travels for the rich, and now we all fly discount airlines. I don't know if we're going to get the discount space travel within our lifetimes, but still, we are. We're inching into the future further and further. I think it's just pretty cool.
Yeah, I was covering it on the Weather Channel Live yesterday, and I said something crass, which I tend to do, is right now it's the province of billionaires, and before you know it, even regular millionaires will be able to go into space, and it really truly will be for everybody, for the common person.
The common millionaire, just struggling with their 100 plus employee company that they own, I think that's, we're getting there. Yeah.
Just trying to get by. Now talk to me about the Launch Pad Astronomy workshop. When did you start this, and why did you want to get started with this? What motivated you?
Well, so the Launch Pad workshop, as you mentioned in your intro, that is a workshop that's designed to help creative professionals who, want to feature astronomy and space science or even space travel in their stories or whatever creative work they're working on. Whether we want to admit it or not, we learn from our entertainment. How many of us saw the Millennium Falcon zigzagging through asteroid belts only to discover that asteroids aren't like that? They're not nearly that close together. So getting the science right is kind of important. There's a public service in that. And thankfully, we're now in an age where more and more creators want their science to be right. They want things to be as realistic and plausible as possible, but maybe they don't really have enough of the science background. They're not, not everybody's an Andy Weir or an Isaac Asimov or anybody like that. So, they want to learn. They got to learn from someplace. And what better way to learn than with your fellow writers and other creative professionals at a week-long cram course for writers? Now, I did not start this workshop. This workshop was actually created by my very good friend, Dr. Michael Brotherton, who is an astrophysicist and professor of astronomy at the University of Wyoming. Not only that, but he's also a science fiction author himself. So he started this workshop way back in 2007, and then we met, and I came on board in 2012, and I've been going out every year ever since to spend a week with Mike teaching people astronomy, basically doing astronomy 101 in like a crash course week, and I love it. It's crazy work. It's hard work. It's unpaid work, but it feels like it's the sort of work that we need to be doing. So, and we're just delighted to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I work with, I consult on various TV shows and movies and even video games. And it always seems to be, they come with questions and then you tell them a lot of facts and then they say, okay, we're gonna pretend you didn't say that because we need the plot to do something else. It's so much better when writers and creators already have the science in mind before they start to develop the story. Then they don't need to massage the story around science that doesn't work. And so that's what you're trying to do, is get people off the ground working with science and incorporating a real world information and knowledge into the creative process, which is very challenging, but also very, very fun.
And it's extremely rewarding when it works, like when you put it together and you deliver a great story that grabs people's imagination. I've referenced Andy Weir with The Martian, and then Artemis, and now Project Hail Mary. Here he's working the real science into it, right? He's making it, as realistic and plausible as possible, and people are eating it up. They love it. And I think to many writers, and when I say writers, I mean, doesn't matter if it's a filmmaker or a video game designer or a YouTuber, right? Anybody who tries to teach through their content directly or indirectly, they want to get it right. And that's great. We're just glad to offer a small way of making that happen. So that's my big hobby. But when I'm not doing that, I'm working on my YouTube channel of the same name. And I also am teaching at Towson University. So I get a few things going on. Yeah, I'm staying way too busy. I got to learn how to balance my work. I got to figure out how to balance my work relationship so I can do both jobs.
Two very important relationships. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what made you want to start the YouTube channel in the first place? And what are your favorite kinds of videos to do?
Well, I began the YouTube channel, I don't want to say by accident, that's almost cliche, but it was very indirectly. I began the channel before I really realized I was doing a channel. So I do teach introductory astronomy, which is kind of my favorite topic to teach because I always enjoy, to me, it's like public outreach, except I'm assigning some grades, right, while I'm at it. But in any event, these intro astronomy classes, and if you've ever taught an intro astronomy class, people who take introductory astronomy think it's going to be a very simple class, and they think it's going to be some star names and constellations, and then they realize, oh no, there's physics involved, or if it's like planetary science, like the sky and solar system, there's spherical coordinates involved, there's chemistry involved, there's geophysics involved. Next thing you know, they're just getting everything, right? So it's a tough class for people. People do find it to be a little bit difficult. And I don't mean to make it that way. So a couple of students asked me, do you happen to have a video recording of your lectures anywhere? And I said, no, I don't have that. And he says, well, do you think you could record your presentations? And because I got to watch this again. I just can't I can't absorb it all in the class. And I said, yeah, I hear what you're saying. And then I realized, oh, I've got my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Christian Reddy. I had videos of my cat and all that kind of stuff. And so I started recording those presentations, uploading them to YouTube. I told my students about it, and they immediately didn't watch a single one of them. They were too busy, and they were like, But then other people who weren't my students were watching them, and I didn't really know how they found it. I didn't know what it was. The next thing I knew, I had 130 subscribers. I'm like, you can subscribe to a channel? What's going on?
What is that? Yeah.
What is this thing of which I, hear? So around that time, I was thinking about doing something, maybe trying to, do another outreach project, and I didn't know if I was going to teach an online course, but everybody has online course. And then I realized, people are responding to this. Maybe they like it. Maybe I should make a YouTube channel. And so I stole the name from Mike Brotherton. Actually, he told me, yeah, you should call it Launch Pad. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, because no one knows who Christian Reddy is. So yeah, okay, Launch Pad. I'm no Paul Sutter, you know what I mean? So I couldn't do that. I had to come up with a cover name, Launch Pad Astronomy. And it's been going ever since. And I've been doing that now steadily for about 3.5 years.
Nice, nice. Yeah, your channel is fantastic. Your content is always rock solid, on the ball,
Thank
very
you.
relevant. What is your favorite kind of top content to cover in the channel?
Wow. There's a wide range. I feel like I'm going to answer this question only to prove myself wrong in 5 minutes, right? Because I find myself becoming very interested in what it is that I'm making a video about. I mean, that's sort of like why I do this, you know. And but I would say that overall, I've always had a soft. It sounds really corny and cliche, but I've always had a soft spot for stars, like individual stars and the properties
Mm-hmm.
of stars. In a field that's dominated by really exotic things like dark matter and the Hubble tension and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's stars for me. So
Very
whenever I get
cool.
to talk about neutron stars and I get to talk about stellar evolution, I love making that kind of content. And I know it's not everybody's thing, but there's an awful lot to be said for just digging into what we
Mm-hmm.
all take for granted and discovering that there's an incredibly rich tapestry of really weird and mind-blowing physics involved. And you just get into this stuff. And next thing you know, you're taking what you think is just ordinary, a twinkling star in the sky, and it turns into this living, breathing animal that just does crazy things. And I love it.
So you're basically paparazzi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
you,
follow
you just
stars.
you
Yeah.
just talk about you make YouTube videos about the stars.
I make
Got
really
it.
two videos of stars. Yeah,
Not
exactly.
the stars. Uh, Speaking of the stars, not that was a horrible segue. James Webb.
Yeah,
December 18th is the announced launch date. That is just 2 months away. We've been waiting for James
yeah,
Webb for a good fraction of our human lifetimes. A not
yes.
insignificant fraction of our lifetimes. Do you think it's actually going to launch? Is it happening on December 18th?
On December 18th, I can't predict the weather this far out, right? Although
Okay.
French Guiana, does have generally good launch conditions most year round, right? And apparently December, that time frame, it never gets hit by typhoons or hurricanes and things like that. So I would say if the weather's good, yeah, I really think it could
So,
launch
so it's
on
all down to
the.
weather, you think?
I think so. I do, and I
We're
say
here.
this only because they've been operating this launch vehicle now for what, 25, 30
Yeah.
years, something like that, right? It's been around forever. They know it inside out. Yes, they had to make some modifications to accommodate Webb. They've ironed out those issues as well. They
Mm-hmm.
know how to flow, payloads through and so forth. And oh, by the way, what's the other thing? Oh, yeah, I remember. Webb is finished. It's done. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's like the big thing, right? When they announced that
Yeah, the
testing
rocket
was
wasn't really
done,
the delay. Yeah.
right? Exactly. When they announced that Webb had completed all of its integration and testing and it was stowed up, ready to be packed and shipped, that's when I knew, okay, they're making this announcement for a reason because this thing's ready, And so yeah, I think we're going to see a pretty cool launch in December.
Here's the follow-up question. Is it going to work? It's probably, I would
Ooh.
say, the most complicated object we've sent into deep space,
Yeah,
further than
I think you're
lunar
right.
orbit.
Yeah.
I would say it's more complicated than a lander or an orbiter mission. I would say it's more complicated than any of the rovers we have on Mars. It is a complicated device to unfold all those
Oh.
mirrors and unfold the heat shield. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Am I the only one who's nervous?
Yes, you are, or whatever.
Oh,
Yes, of course, I'm nervous. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anybody who's in their right mind a little bit concerned about like all of the complicating factors. And I think for me, it all comes back down to, well, then why did we make something so complicated in the first place, right? Why didn't we just build a simpler spacecraft? We could have had it up there by now. And I think that's a fair assertion to make, right? We would have had something up if it was simpler to build. It can't be any simpler than what it is because of all the science requirements that have gone into this thing, right? It's got to operate at extremely cold temperatures. It's got to work in the near to mid infrared. It's why do we want it to do that? Well, we want it to look deeper back into time than Hubble ever could, and that's why it's heralded as the successor to the Hubble Space Telescope, even though it really isn't in terms of its wavelength band and all that kind of stuff. But we're trying to answer questions that simply can't be answered any other way. And that's why this thing became so complex. We've never done anything like this before. I can also I like to say philosophically, this is what we do, right? This is humanity at its best when it's trying to, really answer those questions and go to whatever lengths are necessary. However, I'm also enough of a pragmatist to know that, yeah, it still should have been done before. It should have been done years ago. There were some management problems. I'm not going to pretend that there aren't other human foibles involved here that maybe delayed things out further than they had to be. Nevertheless, it's done and dusted. Now we just got to get it out there, and it has to work.
Yeah. it just has to. That is the only option. And that was part of the delays, is we knew this was one chance. We couldn't go to fix it. We can't build another one. It just has to work. And so if it's going to launch, we only get one shot, and it's going to make it really tough to give the green light to let it go. I do have a question. What's the one question that you, Christian Reddy, would like to have the James Webb answer once it's fully decked out, first light, taking data? What do you want it to teach us about the universe?
I think the most interesting question that it can help us answer are what is the likely census of habitable worlds? And by the way, this is to me something that not only is like, hey, isn't that cool to know about what worlds are habitable? When they were designing Webb, this wasn't even a question that anybody thought we could answer with it. Like when this thing was being designed, everyone thought, oh, we're not going to be able to know about really characterize habitability on exoplanets until like the next generation of space telescopes, like LUVOIR or HABEX or things like that. But now, and I'm going to call in this recent work on Haitian worlds, which I'm working on a video about right now because I found it really fascinating. Now it's looking like these so-called ocean worlds surrounded by these thick hydrogen atmospheres they're a lot more detectable. Like if there's life in it, those biomarkers should be much more detectable. And a team of folks from Cambridge University actually modeled Webb's capabilities and discovered that, yeah, Webb will be able to see these biosignatures. And that's something that nobody thought we'd be doing with Webb. I would have been, if you would ask me, I would have assumed that, no, we won't be able to characterize habitability. So if we're able to do that with Webb, even just get the ball rolling, that's going to inform what's coming next, right? The LUVOIRs and the HABEXs of the world. So yeah, that's what I'm pretty excited about. Oh yeah, what else? How big is the universe and, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Just some very minor questions about the origins of our entire cosmos, whatever.
There's that, yeah.
Minor stuff. What about you, Christian? What's coming down the pipe in the next 6 months to 12 months? What are you excited about in terms of space missions, events, and your own work?
Well, in terms of space missions, I mean, it's so hard to even think past Webb, right? But I am really interested, and I know I said I was all nutty about stars and stuff like that, but like I've kind of found myself becoming more and more interested in just the goings on right here in our solar system. And so the Lucy mission I find to be very interesting. Like the fact that we're going to be Lucy. Yeah, sure. Lucy is designed. I mean, we've had missions to asteroids before, but now we're going to explore a population that we've never, ever seen before. And this is a population of asteroids called the Trojans, which are kind of held in place by Jupiter's gravity. They're kind of like in a gravitational pocket called Lagrange points that kind of these asteroids find themselves trapped in this gravitational pocket between Jupiter and the sun. And there are these two Lagrange points on either side of Jupiter. And Lucy is going to go out there and explore some of the asteroids in this. And what I really think is exciting about this is that, you know, we've looked at like near asteroids, like relatively near Earth asteroids, and we've flown past a couple of asteroid belt asteroids, but now we're going to start noodling around in this third zone of asteroids, let's just say, right? You know, outside the main belt, you know, and that I think is going to help us to answer some real questions, not just on the formation of our solar system, but particularly how did our solar system decide to put its terrestrial rocky planets inside and its big gaseous and icy giants on the outside? Yes, we know it has to do with temperature. We know it has to do with how, you know, your distance from the sun, but exactly how did that work, right? What was the conditions, you know, what was that gradient like? And I think that, to me, the more I'm learning about Lucy, the more interested I become in it. But the other big thing, and this is not 6 months down the road, but I'm looking forward to the Vera Rubin telescope to finally start scanning the sky, assuming, of course, we don't lose the night sky to all of the mega constellations. But that's something else that I'm also extremely excited. So that's the next. Lucy's in the next couple of months. Rubin is the next couple of years. As far as, you know, when I'm working on the channel, yeah, it's working on videos. I'm actually working on a video about Haitian planets. I'm looking forward to doing my live streams again. I took a little summer hiatus, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that. And we're also starting like a whole new chapter at Towson University where I'm the planetarium director. And we have a brand new science building at Towson. We have a brand new planetarium, and I'm giving my first public planetarium show tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward. Yeah, thanks. Yes, I'm looking forward to just, you know, doing more of that kind of work and then trying to do my day job in the middle of it all.
Well, nothing beats a live astronomy presentation, whether it's in a planetarium or an auditorium, it doesn't matter where, or just sitting under a sky full of stars. And I'm sure the audience is going to have a fantastic time. How can people find out more about you? How can they follow you? Where do you live on the internet?
Well, I mostly live on YouTube at Launch Pad Astronomy. That's the name of my YouTube channel. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Launch Pad Astro, or my personal Twitter account at Christian Reddy. Those are probably the best ways to ping me. I'm not particularly active on Twitter, but I lurk, I watch, but you can always check out my channel.
That sounds good. Last question. Yes. This is the last time I'm going to ask this question on this show. What is your favorite kind of cheese?
Well, my favorite kind of cheese, I am, as you can tell, I'm Italian. Okay, I'm half Italian.
Totally.
Yeah, and I've always been a big fan of mozzarella, you know, and Paul, ooh. I, in honor of your penultimate show, I brought my own mozzarella cheese.
Look at that.
This is a vegan mozzarella by Miyoko's Creamery. And
pause. Did I just hear the V word?
Vegan.
So is this made from milk?
Yes, cashew milk. No animals harmed. It's oh, look at this. Let's see here. We've got
controversy on the penultimate episode.
We've got nice Miyoko's Creamery vegan mozzarella.
Okay.
Now I'm going to do my...
I see, because it's not mozzarella, because you can't say that.
Well, mozzarella, that's the wrong way to pronounce it. Italians, we call it mozzarella, right? And I'm going to take this out, and I am going to... Oh, smell that. Look at that beautiful cheese.
You can have your moment here. I'll give you your moment here.
This is my Paul... This is my Paul Sutter homage.
You know what? I will celebrate it, even though it is...
This is incredible. I've never tasted such smooth, silky mozzarella cheese. That was for you, Paul.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you. And you know what? I eschew all vegan cheeses, but I celebrate you and your choice to go cruelty free with your cheese, unless you're a cashew, in which case you have just been crushed and pulverized to death and turned into a creamy brick. And I hope you enjoyed it. It looks like you enjoyed it. Go have the rest of that while I have my cheese right now. Do you want to hang out while I eat my cheese?
Yeah, sure. I'll do cheese with you. Yeah.
All right. You get to enjoy this. So this is a actual cheese.
Cheese too, man.
I've trouble with the vegan cheeses. I have trouble with it. Listen, folks, if you want to eat a vegan cheese, more power to you. But my body, my choice. We've got Ski Queen brand. I already tore the label, so you can't see it. It's Gjetost. It's Norwegian cheese. Gjetost. Now, it translates directly as goat cheese. It's apparently a mixture. This particular brand is a mixture of cow and goat. And look at that. Look at that color. This rich caramely brown color. It smells like cheese, but it looks like fudge. But apparently in the description it says sweet as caramel with the texture of a dense buttery fudge. I can tell you this looks like if I just saw this on the shelf, I would assume this is a piece of caramel fudge. But leave it to the Norwegians to make a cheese. Yeah. And it looked like even when I try to break it off, because I didn't bother bringing a knife with me, it just like pulls off. Ooh. Here we go. Gjetost. Oh, this is brought to us by the way, Dom's Cheese, domscheese.com. Great friends here who have supplied cheese for a year for Space Radio. They are absolutely wonderful people, and they do deliver, and they do ship their cheese. Here we go. Gjetost.
How is it, Paul?
It's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best. It's got like a little fishy afternote here. Oh. Like a little scaly, a little bit of like rotten seaweed vibe. It is very interesting. It's definitely caramely. It's definitely buttery. It's definitely rich. It can't decide if it's sweet or savory. It's like when you have cream cheese with just a little bit of sugar and like, are you a cheesecake? Are you going all the way there? Or am I putting you on a bagel with some salmon? I don't like pick one. Pick one. Mm-hmm. It's trying to live between the cheesecake and the bagel with lox worlds. It's trying to straddle that line, and I think it's failing at both.
What kind of wine would you pair it with? Maybe you could pair that with like a white, and
I don't know, as much as possible. Help? I think the answer is as much as in the Norwegian tradition. First, you spend all night drinking, and then when you open up the fridge and you're starving and you're like, what happened to this cheese? Why is it brown? I don't care. I'll eat it. Mm-hmm. That's the plan. A fishy afternote.
I can send you some of mine, Paul. This is.
You know what? I'll take the cashew milk. I'll take the cashew milk vegan cheese over honestly, this may have been my least favorite cheese I've had on the show. I'm sorry, Christian.
It's just pulling right off. It's got that nice little crumbly texture that you want in the mozzarella, And
I never thought I would be jealous of a cashew-based cheese. But here I am.
Smooth.
You are too far away. I think I have some.
I gotta admit, I'm not trying to ham it up for you. I'm sorry. You didn't enjoy cheese.
This show.
This is the first time I've ever had Miyoko's. This is the first time I've ever had Miyoko's mozzarella, and holy mackerel!
It's good. I'm glad you're happy. I'm not jealous at all. This is the first time I've had Gjetost. Mm-hmm. This is likely the last time I've had yay toast.
I'm sorry.
I mean, if I'm in someone's home and it'd be disrespectful to not eat it, I'll eat it. I'll hide my grimaces. I gotta go wash that down with something, folks.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe get like
because
a gallon of wine.
Super famous for their cheese making.
Yeah, that's Norway. Yeah.
That's when you think Norway.
Just got a bad batch. Try it. Maybe try it again next week with like another block of it or something.
There are people remembering the time I had the penicillin gorgonzola. I had a gorgonzola that was probably legitimately bad, as in had too much bacteria. Okay. So I take it back. Yay toast is not the worst cheese I've ever had on this show. It may have been, thank you, Nicole, the penicillin gorgonzola. That was bad. So this is the second worst cheese I've had on this show.
And I am on your second to last episode. So yay!
Yes, this is it. This is it,
Number
folks.
two.
So if you like cheese that doesn't know if it wants to be sweet or savory, if you want an indecisive cheese, yay toast is for you. Yay toast. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Space Cadets. Unfortunately, this broadcast is almost done. I'm Paul Sutter. This show is brought to you by you. Please go to patreon.com/PM Sutter. Thank you, Nancy Graziano, for producing the show, wrangling Space Cadets, and bringing Christian on the show. Next week, last episode, 8 p.m. YouTube channel, Ask a Spaceman. All that's going to live on for a very, very long time. But next week is the last episode of Space Radio. I hope I have a better cheese. Thank you again, Space Cadets, for listening. See you next week. And remember, science is for sharing. And